Hey guys, this is Eric Weingarten with Weingarten Racing with a little quick video for you. Just finished porting these heads. These are AFR 210 heads. I got another set to do that's going to be more aggressive. You'll see these float later. But this video is a really quick one. It's about this intake manifold. This is a Holley. This is the part on it. Right there, 300-260. That's what this intake is. It's kind of a newer deal from Holley. As you can tell, it's set up for fuel injection, multi-port, so you got an injector over each one. And I thought I'd do a little thing on it. First off, this is a low profile one. See how low it sits? Let me do a better view for you. That's pretty low. You can kind of tell by the way that the runners angle into the head how low it is. Now, I'm going to start straight up, tell you, I'm not a fan of this manifold. So if we look at it, yeah, it looks thin because those dividers are thin. I don't get that. Also, the cross section is really small here and here. So, yeah, that's, I'm going to get it ported anyway, but I can't make it too large. And let me explain why, because there's two ways you can do it. You can either make them taller or wider. Can't make them wider because that's too thin. Taller, looks like you could do it, except for those. I end up grinding too much out, and then you can't have your plugs in. So you can for that one, obviously. This one's not a big deal because you have a line coming through here. That one's fine. That one is not. So can't go too tall. In other words, you'd have the rest tall. The other thing I really don't understand about this is look at all this plenum volume. It's huge, which is great. I mean, plenum volume, good, you know, awesome. But why? Here, let me get to the point on this. What you did is because the plenum volume is big, it's because the runners are short. Short. I don't understand it. Let me explain. On a carburetor deal, we can't have gigantic long runners that go whatever way because although the fuel may come out of the carburetor perfectly atomized, they still have to make turns, and every turn has a chance of falling out of suspension. With longer runners, typically you make more torque. And with short runners, you typically make more horsepower at higher RPM. In other words, short runners are typically made for a higher RPM deal, longer runners for a lower RPM deal, and they also typically build more torque. If you've got a manifold this height, you're not going to make high-end horsepower anyway. Because of the cross-section anyway, you're not going to make high-end horsepower, high RPM horsepower. And then you made the runners short. Why? What they should have done is extend this whole thing out and brought them in here. Now, granted, it's got more room to turn. It's going to be much harder for the air to turn in some spots, but you're only moving air. You're not moving fuel. I don't understand this. The other thing you got to think about is most port injection, they're down as far as torque compared to a carburetor because you don't have that latent heat of evaporation. That's where as the fuel goes from a liquid to a gas, it takes heat out of the air. It's only going to do it from this little spot of the runner, and that's it. As opposed to a carburetor, it does it the whole way. So because of the cooler charge on the carburetor, typically build more torque. So you would, in my mind, you would want to kind of band-aid it by making the runners longer to build more torque. So anyway, it's a new manifold. It's probably going to do fine for what this customer wants to do. It's not what I would have done. And I know someone's like, well, Holley had it under plan this. There's probably smarter people you design it. Probably so. And then you probably had people that were less smart than them that said, this is what we need to sell because it's going to sell more if we do it this way. And went different from what the engineers probably originally had in mind for this thing. Because I know that I get the short height, you know, fit underneath the stock hood, didn't want to run a cow. Perfect. The runner length, I have no idea. The very sharp dividers, that makes no sense. So I just probably could have been done a little differently and made it a little better. I was hoping with the new design, it'd be a far advanced one from what we've had. This seems like it's just not. So, but it is here and I will get to work on it. As you can tell, I've done my port match thing through it. And that's the reason why it's on here. But I thought I'd make a little quick video about this manifold. I'm not saying it's horrible, just not what I would have done. Anyway, someone had asked me about it, and I'd never seen one until now. So there's my opinion. Personally, I should have raised it up. And they're like, well, it wouldn't fit on most people's hoods. probably a person that's spending, because fuel injection, this type of fuel injection, you're going to be setting out almost $3,000 to $4,000. Somebody's like, I can do it cheaper. No, you can't. $3,000 to $4,000 for a Holley setup. Like, you can take your HP setup with the injectors and everything, with the distributor and all that. $3,000 to $4,000. So it seems odd to me that they wouldn't spend maybe another $1,000 for a cowl inducted hood. Maybe they don't want that look. I get that. Totally get it. But I still would have raised it up, because I think most people still have clearance anyway. So, and definitely would have done something different with the plenum. I mean, shoot, you could even have turned it or something. You could have done a bunch of different things to get different links and things. You don't have to worry about a carb on there. Anyway, that's my take. Thanks for watching.